Hello everyone, this is Aaron Petro from the Morningstar Packing Company. Every year we take a step back from the tactical execution of a crop and look at the broader forces that are shaping the upcoming processing tomato year. This year we decided to break it into three segments, focusing on the raw material supply chain, water, and the tomato supply and demand outlook for both California and the world at large. Today I'm joined by AJ Dalporto, who works with our growers, we call our business development area. And AJ is going to give us a meaningful update here on what water looks like in California at the moment. So AJ, let's get started.
Thanks, Aaron. So I'll start off with the snowpack. Statewide, the snowpack average is about 90% of average for this time of year. Regionally, it is a bit mixed. So the northern Sierras are sitting at about 65% of average. The central Sierras are about 90%, and the southern Sierras are about 110%. It is important to note that a majority of snowfall accumulation in California does come between January and March. Moving over to reservoir levels, things are much healthier there, driven primarily through exceptional carryover from previous wet years. Statewide, the reservoirs sit at about 126% of average for this time of year, or about 65% of total capacity.
That's an impressive way to start the year off.
Very much so.
Good efforts and good discipline to get us there. Now, as we think about above ground water, we think of reservoirs and snowpack, very visible, but there is a large storage underneath our feet, what we call the aquifer, deep down below. And in 2023, we saw that managing the major floodwaters in spring was really enhanced through groundwater recharge, taking the surplus water and banking it underground for later use. So. Yeah. Are those groundwater recharge initiatives still in effect at the moment?
Very much so. Groundwater recharge remains a priority for the Department of Water Resources. There's been a few recent examples highlighting some of those initiatives. One local irrigation district just opened up their recharge efforts through excess winter storm runoffs, and Westlands Water District reported they injected nearly 400,000 acre feet of water between 2023 and 2024 water years. Another important initiative that recently took place is the San Luis and Delta Mendota Water Authority reported they added over 40,000 acre feet of water exports through the Bureau of Reclamation's recent Action 5 operational changes. What that does is it really highlights the scale and importance of some of these recharge efforts.
Right, because in this case, it's letting the water go back into the ground instead of running off out into the ocean.
Correct.
And then we can use it later.
Exact. That is the idea.
Part of that use later will be framed in context of what we call SGMA, which is the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. And hard to believe, it's been 11 years since it was passed and now implemented. It seems to be pretty well established and running smoothly. Do you mind giving us an update on what the current state of affairs are with SGMA at the moment?
Yeah, I think SGMA continues to evolve as the framework for long-term sustainable groundwater. In 2026, there's been over 250 GSAs, or groundwater sustainability agencies, that have formed in medium and high impact basins, many of which are in various stages of approval.
One of the most powerful things with SGMA, as you mentioned, are the GSAs, which is local control of a groundwater basin and how it's going to make its long-term march towards sustainability. With that, there's been some trade-offs and some changes in costs over time. So how have those been impacting California growers?
Yeah, I think as growers try to stay compliant with SGMA, there's been some very difficult trade-offs, and that's included having to fallow land, having to participate in water markets, and having to rebalance operations across multiple properties.
In our industry, costs and prices never stay fixed for long, so those costs sound like they've been rising and could be impacting other knock-on effects for farms and growers.
Pumping restrictions and assessment fees are impacting land values across the state. It just kind of highlights the economic impact that groundwater regulation is having.
Certainly something we never want to take for granted is the water we have, because it can have a huge impact on all of our operations through the whole supply chain. As we think about all these things we just put together, we have surface water, snowpack, groundwater, SGMA, and we put on our Bureau of Reclamation hat and our State Water Project hat, and we talk about allocations, because that's what's really everyone's focusing on right now, is what percentage will I be allocated to the water. So what do we see current state on water allocations, and what are some of the indicators we might want to watch over the next few months?
As we look ahead to 2026, I think the current hydrological conditions allow us to be cautiously optimistic. The State Water Project released their initial allocation of 10%. And while that does sound low, they are historically conservative to protect against dry spells. And it is up from the 5% allocation from last year. I think there's still a lot of unknowns, and the most crucial aspect of this is going to be the snowfall accumulation over the next couple months, because that really provides us with that savings account. Mm-hmm. Most growers I spoke to expect the final allocation to be somewhere around 25%, if not higher. But again, a lot can change given the next couple months.
Clearly, it will be interesting to watch unfold is what happens with our water situation, because that discipline and pragmatism has also helped us sustain a good reservoir condition over the last 3 years going into this year.
Absolutely.
Which is certainly something we think about as we think of 2026, 2027 and onward, is how that water situation will continue to hopefully help and enhance our planning processes. I think the next thing we'll focus on, our next segment, will be on California supply and demand. In particular, give it a global context as well as what's going on in the rest of the world as we look to put all three of these elements together, from raw material, water, to the market and the supply. Thank you. Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, Aaron.